Hello everyone, James Martin here, back to you from the quarantine. I hope you guys are staying well and you're enjoying yourself, all things considered. But today we're back with another YouTube video where I'm here to help you filmmakers to not only succeed with your movies, but also to help you succeed with your career. Now, you guys have responded so incredibly well to my filmmaker react to anime videos, which I can't thank you guys enough because those videos are doing incredibly well. And I guarantee that there's more filmmaker react to anime videos coming down the pipeline. But when I did one a while back, you guys specifically requested that I check out the full show of an anime called Code Geass. Now, I did react to the first episode in the first season in one of my videos. At the time, I did have a very sort of black and white perspective on the characters. I didn't see too much depth in them, which, I mean, to be honest, I didn't really expect that much because it was just the very first episode. This whole show has like 50 episodes. You guys insisted that I check out the full show because it was really, really good. So I took that to heart. I actually did just finish completing the full show of Code Geass, which you can find on Netflix, the whole 50 episodes in English dub. And I have to say, this show is brilliant. Really, I found the show really, really good. I wanted to give you my full thoughts and review on this entire show. But I also want to discuss a couple of main themes and ideas that this show really does a good job at talking about and exploring, okay? Now, first off, I want you guys to understand that I'm going to first talk about all the stuff that I liked, which is not going to contain any spoilers. So for the first half of this video, we are completely in spoil-free territory. But then after that, I'm going to start talking about some of the stuff that I actually didn't really like about the show. And for that, we will go into some spoiler territory. Now keep in mind that my thoughts are explicitly regarding the anime itself. I'm not going to talk about the prequels, the sequels, or the alternate universe movies, which I wonder, how many Geass movies are there? One sec. Oh no. Now, I will say overall, I felt this was a very, very good show. So if you haven't seen Code Geass, highly recommend go to Netflix or Crunchyroll, whichever you prefer, and check out the full show. It really is worth watching. And I found the dubbing to be exceptionally well. So I can say that right off the cuff. The acting for the English dub, I found the acting was just superb. Really, really, really well done. Here's the stuff that I really, really liked about this show. The show explores the challenges around two major conflicts. Obviously, we're talking about an inner conflict and an outward conflict. So in the story, our main protagonist, his name is Lelouch, deals with an outward conflict where he lives in Japan, which is under control of a major empire called Britannia, which looks down on the Japanese as an inferior race compared to Britannia. Meanwhile, there's a resistance group of Japanese who've rebelled against Britannia. And in the midst of all this chaos, Lelouch is part of a Japanese group and is mistreated as such. He's also your good student at school with lots of friends, good grades, and is very, very smart. And at the center of his personal life is his younger sister who is blind and crippled, called Nanali. Now, as you might recall from my Filmmaker Reacts video, we get introduced to a mysterious girl in the first episode. She refers to herself as C2, who gives a power called Geass to Lelouch. Lelouch's Geass power allows him to control the minds of those he has direct eye contact with, and uses this to his advantage to rebel against Britannia. During this whole battle that Lelouch gets himself involved in, he is constantly tested with inner conflict, with inner battles, including loss, losing close friends, people that he cared about, even family, being deceived, bonds of friendship, loyalty, and whether or not to show his true intentions or not. This show is incredibly conflicted and has many layers of conflicts and challenges, really, and I don't say that about many different shows and movies. You get to watch this war from every single character's perspective and how everyone involved is fighting their own part of the war and dealing with their own issues. See, one of the things I loved about this show is that part. That's very realistic, and not many different movies and TV shows that deal with a battle or a war often talk about that. But often, see, wars and battles deal with everybody, right? World War I, World War II, it didn't just affect those involved, it affected the entire world, soldiers and innocent civilians alike. You have characters who put blind faith in others and then have to question their trust. You have enemies who end up becoming allies or even lovers, and vice versa. Characters who have to question their perspective on even right and wrong. See, to borrow a common phrase from another YouTube channel called Hello Future Me, who I highly suggest you subscribe to as Tim has tons of helpful story videos. War is complicated. See, one of my favorite history events to study is actually World War II. And the thing you have to understand is war is consuming and damning. However, it does bring necessary change. Just like how in World War II, the world had to fight to destroy the Nazis, and the fact that millions of soldiers and innocent civilians died in the process. The war not only destroyed the Nazi group in ending the war, but also stopped Germany from uprising again to take over the world, and it brought a bigger understanding to the world about the dangers of starting a war. Battles often mean that you're going to get blood on your hands from your enemy and your allies, much like it is in a game of chess, which is used as a metaphor many times throughout the show. War also deals with a lot of politics, where you often have to make allies with people you've never met and maybe even don't like. Because you see, the game of politics is simply about knowing what other people want and trying to leverage that into getting what you want. How can others put their faith in you? What's in it for them? How do you know others will commit to your cause and not turn against you? Who can offer you the highest bid? Politics is often about careful maneuvering and careful planning at all times. Playing politics often means you hiding your own true intentions and your personal motives in order to get what you want. See, the brilliant thing about Lelouch's character is he knows what he wants, but has to make a lot of difficult decisions on how to achieve his goals, even to do things out of the ordinary. And one of the other struggles that you often see with the show is the idea that often you try and look for justice, you try and defeat the bad. However, trying to fight against conflict, often you have to go to a place of dictatorship where you have to put in rules and laws. So therefore, how can one person become the moral high ground and start making decisions to affect everyone? How do you become the decision maker? How do you become the person that chooses between the few or the many, the right and the wrong? And I find that this story really does reflect that and the consequences of it. Yep, so I mean, I think as storytellers, if you're going to involve battles and wars, which often happens a lot in different sci-fis and especially in fantasy, I think it's important to understand that wars have major repercussions and wars affect everyone. So really think about how you can explore the different perspectives of how war affects everyone, affects your relationship, affects your way of thinking. With some people, it turns them into even worse people. For some, it makes them better. That was all the stuff that I really liked about this show. Before I start getting into the stuff I don't like and therefore will be spoiler territory, I want you to please subscribe to my channel and like this video if you got value already, because probably if you don't want to watch the spoilers, then you're probably going to click away right now. But if you do, please just like this video first before you head out. Alright, so keep in mind, we are now entering the spoiler zone. Okay, from this point on, we are going into some deep spoilers with the show. Again, you have been warned. So right now, I want to address a lot of the stuff about the show that I did not like, which, believe it or not, there was only like a couple issues that I had. There really wasn't much overall. First, though, I would like to address the elephant in the room, which I found there was a lot of excessive nudity. Now, see, normally I actually don't mind nudity in live action as long as it serves the plot of the story and not just trying to keep viewers' attention on the show, like in Game of Thrones. See, I don't like it otherwise, and there is a lot in this show. And I mean, a lot. I wish that we got to understand more of the Geass origins and C2 and her connection with the Geass. Now, to be honest, I understand that this really didn't have a huge effect on the overall story. The anime wasn't really, it's not about the magic system. It really wasn't about the Geass itself. The Geass was just a metaphor for getting what you want, essentially getting help from everyone else to help you achieve your goals, which again goes down to the basic premise of the story, which is war and politics. I mean, I love to get to know the origins, like how was the magic system first created, because in the show, essentially Lelouch's dad and dad's brother, when they were kids, made a pact that they would always help each other, and no, they would never lie to each other. And somehow the Geass got invented somehow, and then his brother turned into V2, much like C2, who could just kind of give and take away the Geass from people. I actually found it surprising because I honestly thought that by the end of the show that C2 was actually going to get killed off. And then if she got killed off, then would that undo all the Geass? I would have loved to have seen like a sequel series or a movie that answers questions like, you know, how did the Geass first start? How is it passed from one to another? Why are all the Geass powers so different? How can you destroy Geass? Which was actually something I was rooting for in the show itself. And I mean, I understand that there's some confusion around, like, there's the sequel, prequel, alternate universe movies that tell the same story as the anime, but in a different way. Like, you do different alternative stories where Lelouch's girlfriend, Shirley, I think her name was, apparently comes back to life, and apparently Lelouch also comes back to life, which I think makes no sense whatsoever. Personally, and I was actually just thinking about this lately, I think there should be a sequel series, a season 3, where there's probably a terrorist that has the abilities of Code Geass, right? And he's using his Geass to essentially take over the world. At this point, Lelouch is dead, and he will remain dead, and then they have to fight back and deal with the Geass and whatever. But we also find out that he had plans and instructions left behind that could help him carry on with the rest of Lelouch's work. So it's essentially like the Zero or the Zero from season 1, season 2 that we've all come to understand still continues, and it's like the spirit of Lelouch still continues on, but now is fighting the Geass from spreading more evil and from the terrorists taking over the entire world. I think that could be a major possibility for a future story. That's just my opinion. If you have any theories or any suggestions, let me know down in the comments. Another thing that I wasn't a big fan about with this show is explain how someone's free will can overpower Geass, like how when Nanali was able to overcome her blindness at will. Because see, in the scene, it didn't really seem like a strong enough sort of moment for her to open her eyes. Honestly, she could have remained blind for the rest of the show and it wouldn't have made a difference. The only reason she opened up her eyes was so that Lelouch could use the Geass on her to get the remote, which, by the way, that was something I noticed in the show. All the switches looked exactly the same. All the sort of remote detonators looked exactly the same. And I mean, this is just a little nitpick from me. I just find it funny that they're all the exact same looking sort of remote detonator. Technically that usually doesn't happen, especially if you're going to create detonators on the fly. It's usually just a very small switch, or often it's even just wires connecting. So I mean, I found that kind of interesting. But I mean, these are just my very small nitpicks. Overall, I did enjoy the show. If I were to give it a rating, probably like a 9 out of 10 easily. That's my thoughts. I would really love to hear your own thoughts. Do you like Code Geass? Have you watched it? Have you even watched the other movies? Are there any major differences from the anime versus the manga? I'm not really a manga reader. The only manga I'm reading right now is actually Attack on Titan. So let me know your own thoughts. And let me know that if you watch Code Geass, what major story, plot points, or character journeys, or anything from the show that inspires you with your own stories, okay? I think it's very important that us as filmmakers explore all types of medium, whether it's the TV shows, live action movies, anime, books, music, video games, in order to find different aspects and different ways that we can tell a story. If you found this video interesting, please smash that like button and subscribe, because I got videos coming out every single week. And if you want to enjoy my other filmmaker reacts to anime and check out some other anime that I found kind of interesting, please check out my playlist up in the cards above. Until next time, take it easy, enjoy some good old anime while you're spending some time in quarantine, stay safe, and I will see you next time.